Welcome back to PSC's Tech Byte. Today we keep on talking about how we can improve the quality of our code and scripts whenever we get throttled by Microsoft Graph or any other external API. And specifically, I want to show you how you can handle throttling issues while making a basic invoke web request from PowerShell, as well as what happens when you use the Microsoft Graph PowerShell SDK and how it can improve the quality of your code when you write scripts. So let me move to the demo environment and let me show you how to do that in practice.
So we can start making a request using the invoke web request commandlet and targeting the me endpoint of the Microsoft Graph, just for the sake of testing the behavior when we have throttling in place. So if we make the request without any throttling, and let me do that right now, we will get a response, and of course we can consume the Microsoft Graph. Now let's say that we want to have throttling in place. So let me reset the PowerShell session just to clean any cache. And then we can go to the MT65 Developer Proxy and start the throttling simulator. So let's run it with a failure rate of 100% and with a 429 exception in case of any failure. If we run again our request, so let me press F8, we will see that this time we will get throttled and the exception will be with code too many requests. If we want to properly handle this exception and eventually have a retry logic, we can use a try-catch code and we can intercept the exception message of the error that we can catch in case of any. And then we can search for 429 too many requests and we can apply our retry logic. Here I will simply write you have been throttled. So let me show you what happens now with the try-catch in place. We do it again. We have the proxy and we can see that we have been throttled. Fine. So now let me switch back to the proxy, let me turn it off and let me clear the screen. And now we can reset the PowerShell session just for the sake of it, and let's see how it works when we use the Microsoft Graph PowerShell SDK instead of the very basic invoke web request. So I can connect to the Microsoft Graph and I can invoke the me endpoint like as we did before. Right now we don't have throttling in place, so we can see the output of the request. Now let me reset the PowerShell to avoid any caching, and let me go back here and start the proxy again with a failure rate of 100%. So I will execute this request and the Microsoft Graph PowerShell SDK will retry up to 4 times to execute the request, and if it will fail, I will still get an exception of too many requests, but at least there will be a native retry logic. In fact, you can see here we have already retried 3 times and now the 4th one, and we have got the too many retries. So if we use the try catches like as before, now we can look for the too many retries performed exception, and we can eventually do our own logic on just write that we have got being throttled. So let's do that. Let me select this code and run it and see what happens right now. Now we are still making the 4 requests and the 4 retries, and when it will fail up to 4 times, we can then get the clear message that we have been throttled. Now, and as you can see right here, we have been throttled. Now we can do better. We can, for example, stop the proxy one more time. We can reset the PowerShell session to avoid any caching issue, and then we run again this code, but this time I will run the proxy in order to have a failure rate of, let's say, 40%. So 60% of the requests will be successful, 40% of the requests will be failing. So let me run it again and let me start yet another request. First of all, let me authenticate again with Microsoft Graph, and then let me try again to execute this request, but this time hopefully it will not be always throttled, because we have a failure rate of 40%. So let me run it right now. We are trying to make the request, and well, we are lucky enough, so the very first one was successful. We can run it again just to show you that it will fail every now and then and it will be successful every now and then. So now one failed, another one was successful. So as you can see now we are playing with the M365 proxy in the right way, and we can simulate random throttling while making our requests.
Like always, thank you for watching this video. I hope you found it useful, and I'm really looking forward to seeing you next week. Thank you.